All right, we should be live now. Looks like we've got about 8 people tuning in. Um, y'all let me know if you can hear me. I was having some microphone issues yesterday when I was doing like my test run. So I'm gonna stop talking right now. Y'all just somebody write something in the chat if you can hear me, thumbs up, something. Awesome. The Deagle says, sounds good so far. All right. Um, Grumpy old biker, hey, disruptions here. Willow's Mutt. So I think the way we're going to do this is I've got my cell phone sitting right here in front of me, and I've been screenshotting questions as y'all have been leaving them as comments and stuff in YouTube videos, and then I've also got like got a folder I saved in my phone of a couple of people who emailed questions in. So I'm just going to start reading questions out and answering them here in just a couple of minutes. I'm going to wait just a second to see if a few more people jump on. And then I'll be keeping an eye on the chat and just seeing what y'all have to say about it. And if you have any other questions or comments or whatever, just drop them in the chat, and we'll try and just have like a group discussion as much as possible. I do have two ideas to try and roll with this live stream forward. I'm going to talk about that kind of a little bit later in this video, maybe like as a intermission. So wet my whistle with some melon water. Let's start chatting. I can't help with the red bumps in the nether regions. Looking at the chat now. Hey Jim, I hope that email you sent me was helpful, or that I sent you rather. Terry, hey in Texas. Metric Life, cheers. Yeah. Hey Ron. All right, let's get started. Um, I'm actually going to start this off with someone who's in the chat right now. Disruption3314 is this fella's username. Always has comments to write on the video. Really appreciate all I've got to say. And he wrote a comment on my AMF video. And this is 5 questions in one, so we're going to work our way through them. All right. Question number 1, thoughts on a Super E/G shorty single cable conversions. I'm assuming what you mean is instead of having push-pull cables, just having one throttle cable. I say do it. That's pretty much how I run all of my bikes. I've never had an issue with it. I obviously understand that that's kind of a safety concern just because you don't have that second cable to snap your throttle back shut. But I don't know. I think it looks so much cleaner having one cable than two. So I'm in. Just my opinion, at least. Thoughts on an open primary and wet/dry clutch. Open primaries are really popular. I don't know if I'll ever run one. Maybe I would. I don't know. I'm kind of clumsy and a forgetful kind of person, and I worry about getting a pants leg or a shoelace sucked into an open primary belt. I've even been seeing some guys run an open primary with a chain. Um, I don't really know how that works. I mean, there's nothing to keep it lubricated. You're going to sling the chain oil off after not too long. I don't know. I guess if it works for you, it works for you. I like the idea of keeping everything enclosed in one primary housing and keeping my chain oiled. Thinking of going back to points and ditching the electronics. I'm a fan of electronic ignition, though I do still have points on the shovel head. The only reason for that is that that bike does have a kicker on it. I don't know. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is points basically make ignition as soon as you roll the thing over. You can set a Dynatech to do that too, though. You can program them to 0 RPM ignition. I've seen some Dynas fail. I've replaced a few for friends and customers and stuff. the factory ignition isn't bad. That's what's in my iron head, and that's been pretty reliable. I don't know, so I don't dislike points. I think there's nothing wrong with them. Of course, they're pretty easy to set up and maintain. I also don't dislike electronic ignition. I think that's maybe a matter of preference. Um, Copper versus brass for fuel and oil lines, maybe even brake lines. Haven't decided yet. I have the old stuff oil line on my shovel head, and that is some sort of brass. It appears to be. Hasn't leaked. A little bit of pipe tape on all the fittings, and just didn't over tighten them. So I don't see why it wouldn't work for fuel lines. It definitely works for oil lines. And number 5, the fun one, myth. No green on a Harley, it's bad luck. I have never heard that. So maybe someone in the chat knows. Someone tell me about that. I've never heard that one. I'm going to read through the chat real quick because there's pretty much. Hey Paul, Adam Markson picked up a 95 Honda Rebel 250 for my wife to learn to ride on. It will run on the choke but dies as soon as I take it off. Thoughts and solutions. Sounds like it's way too lean. Maybe your idle jet's plugged, or if there's, I would look for an intake leak somewhere between the carburetor and the intake manifold, or somewhere between the intake manifold and the cylinder head. That's just a little single cylinder, so it should be pretty easy to troubleshoot and repair. That would be the two places that I would check. Earthquake says that's what a kill switch is for. Is no need for a second cable. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. If the throttle gets stuck, grab the clutch and put it in neutral and kill the bike. It's kind of like on a straight drive race car. If your throttle gets hung, which has happened to me before when I used to drag race air-cooled Volkswagen, you just mash the clutch in and kill the car. You just have to be able to keep your wits about yourself in a hairy situation. Forsaken says, I didn't get a notification that this started, but I'm here now. I don't know how this works. I've never done this before. '93 Evo with leaking, not bad. Very slow seat, base gaskets. Should I just do the base gaskets or go for steel breather gear and cam at the same time? I have no experience. I guess that depends on what you're trying to do. If you just want to fix the oil leaks on the base gaskets and leave the rest alone and go back to riding it, do that. Definitely you're on the right path, though, if you do pull the cam out to replace the breather gear, and take a pretty good look at those lifters. I don't know. I guess you'll have to make that decision. How much work do you want to do? Dream bike road trip destination. I would actually really love to ride my Ironhead, my 83. I would like to ride that back to Connecticut where it came from and visit all my family up there. I have not been up there since before COVID. That just screwed everything up and travel plans and whatnot. And I've just been happily living my life down here in not in Connecticut, in South Carolina. And I haven't been able to see any of my family up north. So I would really love to ride that bike and go hang out with my aunt who used to own it and who gave it to me, and just see all my family up there. When are you going to make a video with Saddle Tramp? I would love to get it together with him. That'd be cool. Do you watch Roadkill? RIP. Yeah, they killed that off yesterday, didn't they? I used to watch that religiously. I really liked the Rotson was cool. I liked a lot of their earlier stuff too, when they would just go buy some piece of junk and drive it across the country. I'm gonna get out of the chat because it sounds like I could probably spend all night answering chat questions. I'm gonna try and answer some more that y'all have left in comments, then we'll go back to the chat. Here's one from Why is my bike so heavy? He says, what makes a chopper a chopper? I see a lot of people arguing about that. So I think kind of the conventional definition of a chopper is that the frame has been raked and there's something has been done to the front end geometry to modify it from stock so that you got that stretch kind of look going on. And then a lot of people would say in order to be a chopper, I can't talk, would say in order to be a chopper, it has to be hardtailed, it has to be you know, a rigid frame. Um, I don't necessarily personally agree with that. I like a swing arm just from the practicality point. But yeah, I think most people, when they envision a chopper, is you've stripped like the lights and the turn signals off